Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. Normally, I like to kick off the show with some kind of joke or bit or something, but on a more serious note, we wanted to start with talking about the passing of Akira Toriyama. I know when this episode goes out, it will have been probably almost 2 weeks since the announcement came out, but this has been our first opportunity to talk about it, and we just wanted to say a few words. I don't think we can understate how big a deal Akira Toriyama's work has been as far as like cultural impact and everything. Dragon Ball is got to be top like 3 all-time like most well-known anime or something, right? Like
the man played a pivotal role in not one but 2 genre-defying franchises.
In international culture,
yeah.
You could even go as far as arguably 3 or 4, depending on how far you want to stretch the definition.
And these are things that are like not just like anime nerds, like everybody knows, like when people think of anime that aren't into anime, like, a lot of his work is coming up, right? Like, so I know for me it just kind of, it made me really sad to hear him passing, not just because his work, but like the stuff that he did to me is always like so like colorful and full of life and everything, and just it was very sad that he wasn't really that old either, like compared to other legendary manga creators still out there. But ultimately, I think it's been a lot of fond memories looking back. I wrote a little bit on my co-host about my personal experience with Dragon Ball and how big an impact that had. I probably wouldn't be here talking to you guys about anime if it wasn't for that. Like that was
special shout outs to your excellent Dragon Ball Z fan art.
Yeah, you can see what it looked like when I used to be able to draw back in high school. You can see what that looked like.
I mean, it's like I wish I had some of those drawings to share, because I think it is almost like a universal experience that almost any artist born between like 85 and 96 has probably tried to draw a Dragon Ball Z character.
Yeah, at some point,
form
right?
or another.
Yeah.
As a child, I was like, man, muscles are hard to draw. My Tien Shinhan fan art looks really lumpy.
Yeah.
Strongest human.
But yeah, it's needless to say, I mean, it's a big loss, but also, I can't help but also just be happy thinking about the impact that he had, and how much joy his work has brought to myself and everyone. But
it's like we've discussed previously of like some creators, it's only like years afterward where everybody can point and say, look at how influential this was, or even in other cases, it's like you have to sort of dig to see how influential somebody might have been. But with Toriyama, it's just so self-evident across so many different avenues. It's like nobody is pretending that he wasn't, or it is plain to see.
Yeah,
it helps that manga is a genre where you can with almost absolute certainty attribute the greatness of a work to a single person. Like there are very few sectors in which the theory of the great man who single-handedly changed the course of history is actually valid, but this might actually be one of the cases where you could actually say, like, without Toriyama, the world of anime and manga would simply not look the same.
It would like it is there is a claim that is being made that I think there's actually maybe some partial validity to it, that like conceptually, like maybe half of pop culture doesn't exist without Akira Toriyama. Like, if you include like the works that themselves take influence from Toriyama
So, like,
and then go on to become their own global juggernauts.
The thing I was
right?
thinking of, like while we're talking about this, is like Creed 2 or something. The
3.
The box, is it 3?
Yes.
Where they were like, it's pulling from Naruto and Dragon Ball, right?
Yes.
It's like,
yes, because Michael B. Jordan is a big weeb. I mean,
Yes.
I say he's a big weeb, but his taste in anime is actually kind of mid. But you know,
right. But my point is, like, that is what you know. That is
the reach we're talking
mainstream
about, yeah.
pop culture for Americans, right?
I mean, like, there are so many things about shonen, or you know, or just even pop, like especially Asian media, especially in general, that like owes itself to Dragon Ball, right? The Hadouken is just the Kamehameha, right? Like power levels, going Super Saiyan, like transformations, right? Like
the foundational,
arcs, right?
the foundational language of
the genre,
of those series is like established by.
Look, I have this like long running theory that every shonen basically exists on a spectrum between JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Dragon Ball, and
like even JoJo's out here making Echoes look like Cell. Like,
yes, so like it's all in conversation with like in many ways like what Toriyama like did, and it's like, and of course we're just speaking as international, you know, fans in the West. So for us, it's Dragon Ball, right? Or specifically for most people, it is specifically Dragon Ball Z. But like you read a lot of these obituaries for, you know, or memorials of Toriyama, especially in Japan, and they're like
Dr. Slump.
Yo, I grew up reading Dr. Slump, you know, as a school kid, and then this dude just made Dragon Ball after that.
Made like a second mega hit, right?
Right, like Dr. Slump in Japan is like, yeah, it is, you know, it is a like Detective Conan tier like recognizable institution, and so it's like you almost like you actually cannot overstate just his impact on the media landscape, you know, for the last...
We haven't even gotten to Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Like, yeah, like in video games, right? Like
Video
Dragon
games,
Quest, right?
Chrono
like,
Trigger.
Yes, like...
Yeah.
You know, Tobal number... was it Tobal number 1 or whatever?
Holy shit. I forgot about
it. You know, Blue Dragon...
Blue Dragon.
But no, in all seriousness, right? It like the slime, right? Everybody keeps saying it, right? Just casually invented the most iconic JRPG monster of all time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, obviously Toriyama was not like he admitted, of course, that he is not like he was not closely involved in like every individual Dragon Quest, right? Like, you know, much of like the skill of like that studio was also emulating Toriyama's style, but like,
but it was like Yuji Horii did Columns and Shonen Jump, right? Like it's that they had worked together or had interacted together previously, right? So it's
and what I'm speaking to is more like I can't imagine what Dragon Quest is going to look like going forward. Like,
right? They would have to like there are those out there who are like his understudies who work on like the Dragon Ball Super manga and stuff, but it's really not the same.
His understudy is not.
Yes.
I have seen Mexican fan artists who do better emulations of Toriyama's art style.
Truly the Raphael of anime.
Yeah, well,
like really, they truly want to like find a proper understudy for Akira Toriyama. They should have done the casting call in Mexico. But
again, also, you know, reinforcing his global, like we're talking. It's not just Japan. It's not just the U.S. Like the globe has been impacted by.
It's like what there's that story going around that Toei like had to send letters to like the Mexican government because people like there were huge thousands of people watch parties for Dragon Ball Super. Like they would put it on Jumbotrons. Yeah. Shit.
Like to the point where Toei was like, "Hey, you can't do that. You're like taking money out of our pockets," and literally pressured the Japanese embassy in Mexico to like formally draft a letter to the Mexican government.
Yeah.
To which the Mexican government like
we can't really stop them, man.
ignored it.
Yeah.
It's the scale we're operating on. Yeah. Well,
fucking what was it? What was it? Macron. Or how do you pronounce that dude's name? The French
Macron. Yeah.
Macron. Literally acknowledged a standing head of state, not a particularly good one, but a standing head of state mourned Akira Toriyama's passing. Like,
yeah.
I don't know there are many mangaka who are like punching at that weight class. You know? It's
so
like grass grows, birds fly, and like Goku
it's the universal language. It's the
the
true universal
language.
There's that tweet that was like, go to another country and throw Kamehameha and people will throw back.
Yeah. Go Super Saiyan. Yep. Well,
man, you're all saying this Akira Toriyama guy is so great, but can he beat Goku?
Yeah. I'm not going to answer that question, but rest in peace to a legend for sure. And interestingly, he actually has an anime. Well, I guess it's an OVA. It's going to be a short OVA series for Sandland.
Mm-hmm. Sandland
coming out.
Off of,
I think
manga Sandland.
Yes, based off the Sandland manga. Coming out, I think the day this podcast will go out.
Something like that. When I think of Sandland is like the first non-Dragon Ball Toriyama thing I saw. Which it was like I had a fucking one of the early when Shonen Jump was trying to break into the West and they were
I had that. Yes, I know. Yep. I know almost the exact
and it had like the last 2 or 3 chapters of Sandland in it.
Yep. I know the exact issues you are talking about because I had them as well.
And I was like, this is totally that guy.
Yeah, and so we want to sort of use this as a way to roll into what we're talking about here, which is like this is our season preview podcast.
Yeah.
Sandland. It's go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we could also quickly introduce everybody.
They're listening to episode 158.
Look, we're just rolling into it, man.
Yeah, just real quickly. I'm Gel. We've got Iro, G, and Aqua here.
Yep.
This is like when you have the anime episode where they skip the OP and just roll the credits. Like,
exactly. This is a cold open episode.
Yeah, cold open episode.
Yep.
So, but yes, Sandland. Go on.
So the thing that's like the great tidbit about Sandland, of course, is that Sandland is very much ties into one of Toriyama's other great loves, which is that Toriyama was a huge gearhead. He loved cars and motorbikes and planes. If you have read the original Dragon Ball manga, you will notice that almost every chapter title page is just like Goku or Bulma on a bike or riding a plane or something. It's because Toriyama loves drawing like just little gizmos and gadgets.
There was a question in an interview in like a Dragon Ball like retrospective history book or something. I was like, "What's your favorite drawing of Goku that you ever done?" He's like, "It's this one where Goku and Gohan are riding some weird ass chicken walker with motorbike handles."
It's very good. And so Sandland is kind of Toriyama basically wanting to make to write a premise to justify drawing cool vehicles, specifically a cool tank, because the idea Sandland takes place in this kind of like pseudo like far future apocalyptic Earth,
desert world,
desert world, and
it's like the only river is dried up.
Yeah, and the main character is this kind of old guy named Sheriff Rao, who is going to needs help from the King of the Demons to get the water back, and gets the help in the form of the king the Demon King's son Beelzebub, and they set off on wacky adventures in a cool tank.
Yep,
and there's a reason why Sandland is like 1 volume, like 10 chapters.
Something like that.
Toriyama self-admitted, I really wanted to draw a cool tank, And then I realized I'd have to draw that cool tank in almost every page of this damn manga. I don't want to do this anymore. As someone whose job is literally to draw tanks and mechs for a living, let me tell you, I completely agree. It's a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're doing this OVA based off of that manga. It is also kind of probably meant to tie in with the game that is being released soon.
Yeah. It comes out next month.
Something like that. And yeah, I mean, I think, for better or worse, right? I mean, I was probably going to at least check out like a couple episodes of this OVA just because, Toriyama. I wonder if the Sandland OVA and the Sandland game are going to enjoy like
almost certainly
a huge resurgence in interest because of recent news.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was also probably at least check out an episode of it. I don't know if they're dropping the whole thing at once or what the plan is, but who knows these days, especially with an OVA.
Right. And it was like released in. It's one of those things where it was a movie in Japan, and they're chopping it up for international distribution. Is my understanding,
like Yamato or something like that, where it was movies originally.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we will check that out.
It's just a fun little thing.
I don't know about
one-off.
I don't know about the game though.
Well, I don't know about the game.
I mean, I was kind of interested in the game just purely for the gimmick of getting to play Toriyama's little contraptions.
Right. How many weird
I don't know if they'll control
tanks.
well. I don't know if it'll play well. But hey, if I could just drive around a cool little Akira Toriyama tank for like 30 minutes.
Yeah. The clips I've seen have real license game energy.
Kakarot, right? Or Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
Something like that. So I don't know, but we'll check out the
Look, we said Akira Toriyama contributed hugely to video games. We didn't say the video games based off of Akira Toriyama's work were any good.
Yes.
There are far more bad Dragon Ball games than good ones.
Yes, it's basically Dragon Ball Fighters, the Arxis fighting game, and
there's a Super Famicom one that never came out in America that was good.
Isn't there also a GBA one that's pretty good?
Oh, I don't know. No.
No.
Some of those GBA ones are better than others, but they are not good.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, at least with the Budokai franchise, they laid the groundwork for the trashy 3D anime tie-in fighter.
True.
Yeah. There was so many of those games, but yeah. Most of them were not good. Anyway, as we mentioned briefly, this is our regularly scheduled season preview episode for the upcoming spring 2024 season. And yeah, we got some shows to talk about. This season might be looking a little shaky, but I feel like we say that all the time.
Yep.
Maybe there'll be something.
Something here will surprise us.
At the very least, we don't have to talk about these right now because we'll talk about them next week. But at the very least, we'll have Sengoku Yoko and Dungeon Meshi continuing, so there will be
Hooray.
that. But there will be some other series returning that we can start with for the rest of our preview here, and we can start with Sound Euphonium Season 3.
More like Sound Eucopium.
Oh, God.
My recollection is the last time we talked about Sound Euphonium, you said Season 2 ended on a perfect note that doesn't ever need to be followed up on because it hits so hard, landed so well.
You are correct. The Season 2 has a very good ending that did not need to continue. But I guess the reigning champion of Yuri Bait needed to return to defend its throne here. So
how will Season 3 ruin everything?
I mean, the thing is, I'm mostly just the shipping discourse aside, because that is just any sane people knows at this point.
Well,
Any sane person at this point, like, knows that ship has sailed, like, literally. But what I'm mostly interested in is, like, how is the show going to fare without Naoko Yamada?
all right, she's not a KyoAni anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting, because while she was not listed as the main director of the previous 2 seasons, she was essentially the main director of the previous 2 seasons.
Yes.
Has she worked on anything since Heika story?
She has been doing that a short movie with Sainsaru that was fairly well received in Japan, I think, but has not really made its way stateside in any.
Oh yes, that one. I actually
capacity.
didn't want to see that, but yes, I don't think it got a theater one.
She apparently also directed an episode of a live action drama.
Oh shit! Okay, well,
good for her.
Yeah. So she is not available for Sound Euphonium season 3. Plot wise, I guess it's Kumiko's final year of school, her last chance to win the big championship, and I guess she takes in another underclassman under her wing now that she's the big senpai.
Yeah.
All right, Hot Glasses Senpai is gone.
Yep. Yeah.
Also, there's a whole 3 movies in between these.
Yeah.
2 seasons.
I have not watched any of the movies. I don't know how much of the that is relevant to any of the plot, but
I mean, probably not.
Are we counting Liz and the Bluebird in that? Because
I mean, Liz and the Bluebird is like a interquel kind of thing. Like, it doesn't really
part of the Sound Euphonium expanded universe.
I mean, Liz and the Bluebird is a good film, but it does not it is focused on side characters, right? It is not part of the story of Kumiko.
You see Kumiko once in the background, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't want to be totally negative and say there's zero chance that I will enjoy this. It just, we say time and again, once a show kind of hits a good ending, every time we run into a show where we're like, there's no need for this season to exist. It's very rare that we end up enjoying it because, we were correct that there was no reason for the season to exist. So,
I mean, the thing is, the original novels for Sound Euphonium have a kind of contentious reputation in that is one of the things where people like to say that all of the stuff people like about Sound Euphonium, that's just, that was just Kyoto Animation, that was just Naoko Yamada's contribution. And of course you always have to be kind of careful with these kinds of crediting all the good things to the people we like and blaming the people we don't like for all the things we don't like about a thing.
Right. Do you know if the novel was one of the ones that was it published by itself, or was it one of those ones sent into KyoAni's?
No, I think this actually
collection?
predates KyoAni's publishing stint.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, actually, that's kind of a good point, Aqua, because, yes, the trailer, I mean, it looks like Sound Euphonium, at least in the trailer. I don't see any, production-wise difference. It looks beautiful. But, it'll be interesting to see, we can, what it is like without Naoko Yamada, and, there's still many other talented people at KyoAni, right? But, and also, I've heard things about the novel that a lot of people don't like and all that, and
right. But most of that has to do with romance things.
Yeah, I would also say that KyoAni has a history of drastically changing plot points and stuff. So I don't think we really know what's going to happen plot wise with it.
As far as I know, most of the quote unquote controversy around the novels has to do with people just don't like the way they. In the end, they hook up Kumiko with Trombone Boy, not necessarily
I can't remember his name,
not necessarily because of the Yuri, but just because he's a boring sack of potatoes with no personality. And she spent most of the original first 2 seasons not caring about him.
Right.
Like,
yeah, like if you're gonna make Kumiko straight, then why does it have to be him?
yes. Yeah. But like the thing is, like, this season is apparently set after they break up, which is like has potential because like if you're going to get them back together, then at least there has to be some kind of like character dynamic drama involved for that to be remotely interesting. And if they don't get back together, well, then there's potential for, other more interesting characters to get the spotlight.
There's potential for more queer baiting.
Yes, there would still be potential for queer baiting even if they were still together. Come on.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with Sound Euphonium is just, to me, Sound Euphonium is the story of Kumiko. Like, she sort of single-handedly carries that entire show on her back. She is a fun, interesting character. She is performed excellently by Tomoyo Kurosawa, and I'm just... If what I will get is just more, like, Kumiko trying to spin plates, reacting to things...
More Kumiko noises.
Yeah, being a weird little girl... Yeah. I'm honestly fine with that. Like,
yeah, that's probably the best we can hope for, and that could happen. It could happen.
Yeah.
So,
also, I kind of want to see a KyoAni show again. Like,
yeah, because they don't really.
I ignored the Maid Dragon, so this to me,
and that was also like 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
It hasn't been that long since their previous.
No, they did
Tsurune season 2.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did Tsurune last year, but they kind of don't really do TV series anymore. So
because hey, it turns out TV anime doesn't make any fucking money. Like,
well, yeah, and I'm sure what happened to them, to the studio, impacted a lot of their production and everything. The scale of their production and whatnot. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see on this one. I'll definitely be checking it out. And hopefully we'll get something good out of it.
Yeah.
All right.
At least the discourse will be entertaining.
Well, I have something to say one way or the other, yes.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be really normal.
Yeah. I threw this on the list, not really checking with you guys if you're still watching My Hero Academia, but I guess we could acknowledge season 7 is happening.
We're not.
You haven't been watching it anyway, but
I am barely reading My Hero Academia at this point. I
kind of skim the chapter. Right,
perhaps that is a statement in itself.
Yeah, dude. I've already said before, so it's not like, oh man, he said it. This will be, he said it for like the 5th time. Horikoshi is like the modern Tite Kubo. Like, just like an immensely
derogatory.
He's immensely talented character designer. Like, I truly actually love Horikoshi's art. I think he has a really strong knack for like really eye-catching dynamic characters, and like, his action set pieces tend to be very exciting. Dude, like, whatever, man. This plot is like, it's so dog water. It's
really blew his load too early.
Yeah.
Because like I will say, like there are good. My Hero Academia spikes high. Like even in this period of time where I'm like super checked out, there have been like 1 or 2 bits where I'm like, this is pretty good. But on the whole, like it's not enough, right?
Yeah. And so I don't even know what season 7 is covering. Like, I couldn't even tell you, like, because I don't think we didn't even watch season 6. I think we fell off like season 5. So
yeah.
Like,
well,
at this point, it's just going to keep going.
Miko's arm, like,
too soon. Well, we are acknowledging it exists. So there you go, folks.
Sure.
Coming back from much longer ago.
Yes.
Yeah. The Full Metal Panic season 4 of 2024.
Yeah. Let me get my cane and my grandpa voice and tell you kids about about an anime series called Spice and Wolf.
I'm going to make a prediction here. Like, this is going to make people ask the question: was Spice and Wolf ever that good?
Oh, that ED was really good.
That ED was good. My question is this: you mentioned Full Metal Panic. Is this a sequel? Is this continuation
No.
or the previous annual? Okay,
No.
so reboot.
This is going to be a reboot.
Oh baby!
Of Spice and Wolf.
What
Always
are we
a good
doing?
idea.
What are we doing, man?
It is titled Spice and Wolf: Merchant Meets the Wise Wolf. I gotta admit, the trailer does not look great. Quality wise, I don't know why this is happening. But
they need proven properties.
I feel like
write-offs.
Spice and Wolf was a big deal, like in the mid to late 2000s, and
Yes.
I feel like it fell off the map and got consumed by all the other fantasy slice of life type of things that have come since then. It's a premise that felt a lot more novel back then than it would now, for sure.
Absolutely.
Because you have so many shows now that are like the inoffensive isekai shows where they're, opening a shop or conducting some kind of commerce or, whatever.
Slow life as a merchant with a fox goddess in another world.
Yeah, basically.
God.
And while it's been a while since I watched Spice and Wolf, I'm going to still probably claim that this is better than any of them. I think perhaps the novelty has worn off.
It does have the thing of like the original writer is actually a weird economic sicko who puts it in everything he touches.
Yeah.
Right. And so
that is true.
And for me,
those elements of the story are like probably what will keep it somewhat relevant.
Yeah, and for me,
also, the fox goddess has no concept of shame. She gets naked.
Wow.
I did like the characters. I thought the main relationship between Lawrence and Holo was good and all that. But
yeah, I believe the main voice actors are returning.
Yeah, everyone's coming back. I'm kind of with Aqua, where it is going to be a question of how would I feel about Spice and Wolf in 2024. I'm not so sure. I don't think it's going to help if this ends up just being a worse adaptation than the original one.
That is like my primary issue with it, right? Is like, I mean, maybe a continuation also doesn't work, right? The reality is just like, it's been too long. Like, what are you going to do? Like, just pick up from where you left off? Like, I mean, if you're Full Metal Panic, the answer is yes, but also that was an extremely chaotic, manic, creative decision.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it was a good decision. It was just it was a choice.
It.
Yeah,
like, but also like, yeah, why? Like, I guess who's it for, right? Because like, I guess as a new generation of anime fans, like, because if there's anybody listening to this who is like under the age of 20, like, it almost cannot be overstated how much Holo / Horo / Corbo.
That's right. That's right.
I had that joke saved for weeks.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
I was like a generational anime waifu.
Yes,
in the early 2000s.
Like people hooting and hollering when like they have the Itasha of her in Durarara.
Right? Yeah. Like
we're making some real 2009 references here.
We are old, all right. We are old, yeah. But like yes, like Holo was the it girl of anime between like 2004 and 2009, and
yes,
that's way too long. Like
2008 to 2010, maybe.
She was.
Oh, sure. Maybe not that early. You're right.
Yeah,
but point is like,
yeah, it was a big deal.
Big deal, late girl, and I don't know, like I don't know if people really are gonna. Tastes have changed. People want their women to be problematic and kind of evil and fucked up now. Like, are people really gonna come out for
someone who is merely capricious? Like,
yes.
Also, all those people who liked Holo because she's like a cute fox girl, did they actually watch the show?
I mean, no, there's always going to be secondaries when it comes to, like, waifu fans, but...
Yes.
Also, I've noticed this is the same director as the original.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I guess they just really wanted to take another crack at it, huh?
Yeah, get second shot at it, I guess.
Get paid.
It does. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think the trailer, like from a technical perspective, looks very good. It's fine, like serviceable, but like compared, and I don't know if like the old show is necessarily amazing either, but I thought it looked pretty good. Like at least in my memory, it's been a while.
Like, was there a glaring flaw with the original show that they're trying to
I don't believe
compensate?
So.
No,
like
I think they're just
time has passed.
Yeah, enough time has passed. Let's try
it's
to
not
milk
like a
this
Full
again.
Metal Alchemist Brotherhood kind of thing where they have like an actual angle going into this.
I don't think so.
So the more time passes, the more I've come to understand like how much of an insane anomaly Full Alchemist Brotherhood was.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
The idea that an anime could just get a do-over because they fucked it up so bad the first time around,
and also like only 5 or 6 years later,
and it's actually like good.
Yeah.
Well, then again, they did do Legend of the Galactic Heroes: Die Neue Phase.
That was like decades though.
Yeah,
that's full on remake territory.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, if nothing else, I think my biggest issue with a new Spice and Wolf anime is like, will we get another Lil Jon mashup?
Thank God, we gotta stop with these 2000s references.
Look, if your conception of Spice and Wolf is not in some way informed by Whistle Low, Lil Jon cross Ringo Hiyori, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh God, you're just making me feel even older. All right.
How do we?
Well,
we have lived through magical times.
we'll check this one out and see what happens, but I'm not getting my hopes up. At best, maybe we'll get a little nostalgia out of it, but I don't know. All right. Let's...
I like you put this in new... I like you put this next anime.
This goes directly next to Spice and Wolf in the returning category, like directly adjacent to it.
Jel, tell us what this new anime is.
Oh, the bartender one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know what? I might have messed that up.
Yeah.
Okay.
You think so?
Like I sort these two shows into the same mental category.
Yeah. So same deal. Bartender.
Yes.
Is again, I do not know because I've only seen I think there's like one PV out and I haven't been reading too close. I do not know if it is a remake or a sequel to the
Yeah, I didn't look that up on this one.
The manga, but for most people it is probably the early 2000s anime adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
I have never heard of this.
It was weird. I don't know why it was what it was, but it was like one of those weirdly big anime in the West in the late aughts, right?
Oh.
Yeah. So it's Bartender Glass of God or something, right? That's the
So
did this air on Tonami or something?
No,
no. It's so.
I have never heard of this.
It's really interesting. So Bartender, the original, is the one that aired in like 2006 or something.
2006, I believe.
Is like I think it's like the reason why it's such a big deal, at least for certain like circles in America, is it's kind of one of the first not anime that a lot of like Western audiences get exposed to,
right?
In many ways, kind of like Spice and Wolf, right? Of like, oh, this isn't about, as we were talking, this is not about power levels or transformations. Like, this is an anime that shows that, oh, this genre, this medium can be about almost any subject matter imaginable. And so Bartender is basically about this amazing bartender, this legendary bartender who is seeking what he calls his personal glass of God. And sort of some of the mystery is like what it means to pursue the glass of God. And if you read a lot of cooking manga, this premise is probably, pre-Shogeki no Soma cooking manga. This is a pretty familiar premise of like every chapter or episode would be about some individual from all different walks of life going through some kind of life experience or conundrum that feels very relatable. And, through his, compassionate ear and, divine bartending skill, the bartender makes a drink that helps the person with their problems, or the drink communicates a lesson to them in some way.
Right. This is a particular sort of micro genre of seinen manga. It's sort of adjacent to something like Mushishi or something.
Yes, that's also another good example of an anime, I think, from that era that catches a lot of Western anime fans' attention early on.
Yeah.
I think Bartender, so GLORIO blog doesn't condone piracy, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. So, Bartender is, one of those anime that, gets ripped to, streaming sites very early in the game.
Right.
If you were the type of person looking for, Naruto stream episode 36 part 1, you probably also ran into Bartender on almost the exact same webpage.
That's, as far as I recall how it was for me, it was as I'm just starting to toe out of Dragon Ball, Naruto, Bleach, as what I think of as anime, and it's just and I'm a teenager who's, and alcohol has the forbidden allure, and you see bartender, and you're like, what the hell is this?
Right.
You just
I guess that makes sense, because for me that was a little bit later. For me, that show was Eden of the East, which is a couple of years later.
Which was also
something
sort of sort into that same category.
Yeah, mentally. This showed up while I was watching, your Naruto Bleach on YouTube, and then there's this, and what is this? It's something completely different. But
did either of you guys ever actually Did either of you guys ever actually watch this?
Bartender?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I remember seeing it around, but I never actually watched it.
Remember, because it had a live action ED. There was a lounge singer, and while a bartender made the drink from that episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just remember there was one where it was supposed to be stacked, Pousse Cafe style, where the different liquors are floating on top of each other, and they fucked it up in the version of the ED.
Just leave it, and no one's gonna notice.
Well,
your average otaku is not drinking this good.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe that's a good segue into why I put this on the list.
Yeah, I don't.
So I have a theory.
Okay.
Like I said, I never actually watched this. I was aware of it, but I can't really speak to the quality of the show or something. I have a theory.
Right. Okay.
I don't know if this is just me, but I feel like maybe a couple years ago there was an explosion on YouTube of videos of very fancy, high-end Japanese bartenders.
The fucking ASMR bartending, dude.
The let me shape my perfect sphere of ice.
Yeah. I feel like there was an explosion of those videos on YouTube, or you guys remember the one where the guy was making fancy root beer or something and staring at the
instant sarsaparilla, old fashioned or whatever.
And I don't know if that was just my YouTube algorithm personally finding those videos for me or something.
No, I was right there with you, man.
And I'm like, is that why they decided to
getting into the whole
dust this one off?
The one I also remember is this old dude, the pompadour, he walked out of Yakuza 0, bartender. Yes. Who is carving this ice into a diamond shape and explaining that this is way better than a sphere of ice like you see.
Right. Oh, and also talking about you have to the water. You have to get this kind of water,
and then if it makes beautiful shine when you look at it in the glass.
Yeah. I'll put one of those in the show notes for people to check out.
At this point, it's been well established that any sort of pastime or activity that you can be an obsessive sicko about will have an anime at some point, and this sounds like exactly one of those things.
Right. And I mean, at some level, in some ways, I think it is honestly in conversation with many are seinen oriented series where there's probably some degree of wish fulfillment of damn, I wish I could drink this good, right? It's the same thing as like, you look at like an anime like Super Cub or something. Like, damn, aren't these bikes the shit?
If only I could buy this inexpensive motorcycle.
Because the Dream Bar is this like classy place where the bartender gives you the perfect drink.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
listens to all of your stupid problems. And the ambience
it is
nice.
like millennial wish fulfillment, and those kinds of shows have been appearing more and more. Just shows about like work sucks, and wouldn't it be cool to just go to this fun bar? Like,
yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe the show will be good. I just still thought of those
it's
videos.
Interesting that it exists.
Yeah.
I'm just interested that it's coming back, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a pretty long dormant franchise series, I guess.
Yeah.
Property.
Yeah.
Weird fun fact about the old Bartender anime. All the scripts were written by Yasuhiro Ibakawa.
Oh shit, okay, well.
Who is that?
Director of G Gundam, director of the first 3 episodes of Good Robo Armageddon.
That's interesting.
Director of Giant Robo, The Day There Stood Still.
A very different genre of shows. Interesting. All right. Let's move on and let's talk about Astro Note.
Actual news shows.
Yeah.
Yes, actual news shows. I'll fix that in the show notes. The you guys have demanded that Kimiko Ueno get her own show, and here you go.
Is this? God,
ahead,
I hope this is not the monkey paw curling.
I know, right?
I think it looks like it could be good. So
sure.
So the premise is like this guy is a chef and he gets fired and ends up working at like a boarding house.
Classic anime premise already.
With this pretty lady who's like the caretaker of the boarding house, and it turns out she is like from another planet or another world or another dimension or something like that, and there's some kind of weird hijinks going on. I don't think we really know any more than that, but watching the trailer,
they've already put out the opening.
Oh, have they actually?
Yeah.
Put the OP out, but I mean,
it did like last month.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if plot wise it tells you anything, but
like you can see like some other characters, right?
It sets the tone. I mean, the trailer has like weird creatures and things in it too. Like, I mean, it's not like a spoiler or anything on that.
So this is an irrational thought on my part, but the character designs in Astro Note are by Eisaku Kubonochi. Who did the character designs for Carol and Tuesday and Bullbuster. Yep. So I kind of see those character designs and I'm primed to be cagey.
Do we just associate that art style with bad anime now?
I do, unfortunately, right?
Yeah,
well,
like it's a
visceral but understandable reaction.
Well, this is the author that wrote the only good episodes of Carol and Tuesday, so
I know,
also the only good episodes of like half the fucking anime we're watching. Yeah, like
she did some great episodes of Pokemon lately.
So this is the thing, right? Like in all seriousness, right? Like
I feel like her style would fit a show like this.
Yeah. And I guess the point we're trying to make is like, so yeah, like I think Kimiko Ueno has proven that she is like a really talented writer, like especially when it comes to comedy, right? Has a really strong knack for like really punchy comedy. And I think so we've always said like, man, can she just get her own show, right? Can we finally see her strut her stuff without being hamstrung by the work it's attached to? And that's what we're getting here. And I think Ira and I are just being a little irrational because we don't associate this art style with good things anymore. But
yeah,
it is Kimiko Ueno, so I think there's a part of me that wants to believe.
Of course, yeah, I absolutely want to believe. I'm just worried.
I guess there is a question of, is her style or her type of writing best in a small dose? I mean, has there been
she could do show running. She's show running Dungeon Meshi.
Dungeon Meshi, yeah. That is an adaptation.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I don't know. She has written like many episodes of Crayon Shin-chan, right? So it's like,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I think it looks fun,
Mhm.
and she has earned, I think, the benefit of the doubt in terms of the writing. So, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll admit, it does not look like the type of show you guys would normally watch. So I don't know.
I mean,
we are watching
of course we'll watch it. It's from the director of Brave Police, Jay Decker. Joe.
Wait, is it?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well. Wow. All right. Well,
the director of Fables of Gundam Wing, Joe.
That's interesting. We'll see. We'll see then. But yeah. All right. Let's move on and talk about the Fable. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the source on this at all.
I don't know what this is.
Not, but it is a story about a legendary Yakuza hitman who is forced to lay low and live a normal life, and it becomes a romantic comedy.
Sure.
One of these.
Yeah. I like that. I have a history of kind of liking these concepts. I don't know if this one's going to be any good. It is a manga adaptation. I'm not familiar with the source at all, so maybe somebody who's read the manga knows better. But
another old school director directing this show. Gee, you'll know this name.
Oh,
Ryosuke Takahashi.
Wait, what?
AKA Mr. Votoms.
Wait, what? Okay.
What is it with all these old mecha directors getting new shows?
They gotta work on something.
They gotta eat, man. They can't all get a Braver deal.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean I don't really have too much to say. It's just that this is the preview show, so I'm picking out the things that caught my attention that I'll probably check out.
Yeah.
But I don't really know too much about it. There's it's pretty good voice cast and stuff. One of the rare shows that has both Kana Hanazawa and Yuki Sawashiro in it.
And Akio. Okay,
yeah. So
I mean, the thing with these kinds of shows is that they can be funny, but they can also be like that weird, like the same joke all over again, lol, so random kind of like anime goof.
Is this meant to be a comedy?
Yeah,
it's like a romantic comedy, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, this like Golgo 13 ass art style.
The joke being that yes, he's like this like hardcore like assassin killer guy, and now he has to like live in a romantic comedy, and that's the joke, right? So I mean, with comedy, until you see it, you can't really judge. But
yeah, we can only like sort of like base ourselves off of like pedigree.
Yeah,
right.
I'm willing to give it a shot. So, let's talk about.
Man, this original manga is long. This is like 210 chapters.
It's one of those.
Wow. I don't know if that's good or bad, but let's talk about Kaiju number 8.
Sure.
So I know about this is that it's related to Shonen Jump.
And it's going to be streaming exclusively on the hot new social media, X.
Oh, on Twitter then. Okay.
Yes. Truly some very chaotic energy here that in some ways Kaiju number 8 doesn't really even deserve, but so
this is like a big Shonen Jump show, right?
Yes,
like
this is this season's big Shonen Jump adaptation, technically published in Jump Plus, but who's really counting? Because I mean, it's
I mean, Jump Plus is where they put all the weird stuff. Like
right. Spy Family is Jump Plus, right? So, Kaiju number 8 is basically in a world. It's actually kind of Pacific Rim inspired. It's kind of just a world in which kaiju attacks are a commonplace in society, and it is about this guy named Kafka who wanted to, classic thing, wanted to be the best kaiju hunter, in the world, but then life happened to him, and now he's like 33 and working as part of a like kaiju corpse cleanup crew.
I thought you were gonna say that one day he wakes up and finds out that does
turned
Kafka, into a kaiju.
Kafka metamorphosis?
He is tormented by the bureaucratic insensitiveness of the unfeeling system that cannot help him.
The name Kafka is intentional. So yes. Kind of just, it starts off being like, what's happened to my life? Like, I wanted to become a cool kaiju fighting man, and here I am, clean up, kaiju remains after the cool fights happen. And then, in classic, like, parasite Devilman fashion, he gets infected by a kaiju parasite that transforms him into a kaiju human hybrid.
Sure.
And he decides, well, I'm not going to use my powers for evil, so I might as well just become a vigilante kaiju fighting crime fighter.
As one does.
As one does, yes. And so that's kind of like the basic premise of Kaiju number 8, Again, hapless, unassuming hero gets gifted amazing powers and then decides to use them for good. And I guess the thing that Kaiju number 8 got prominent for early on was like kind of a sort of My Hero Academia-esque like spectacle of like, oh, this guy can draw really cool fights. Like there was like some fights early on in this manga's run that like have a very like really intense, impactful kineticism to them. Like when he like metamorphosizes into his kaiju form, it's like his punches have like 3 pages of hit stop. Like,
yeah,
like he will do these like bioorganic pile driver punches that take like 5 pages to complete as you walk his fist ram through like a Pacific Rim sized kaiju for half the chapter.
Yeah, I mean that sounds cool.
And then it kind of became a standard battle shonen because then the big kaiju hunting organization with ranks and grades finally discovers his identity and forces him to enlist in their organization, where he receives a grade and a rank. And, it's like, here's the 4 strongest kaiju hunters. They're grade 1, the blah, blah.
Yes, of course. The top, yeah, yep.
And here's, and here's the grade C kaiju hunter who's secretly a grade S kaiju hunter, but he just doesn't want to get promoted. But blah, and it's like, oh man, this was actually kind of cool for a while.
My power level.
And then it became thing.
This all sounds super trite, like power levels, dudes fighting each other all the time, and then there's probably like a rival dude who becomes a good guy, and they fight together against the new bad guy. Man, the guy who came up with this must have been some real hack screw. That guy, man.
I'm seeing that this show is going to have an opening ending by Western musicians, which is uncommon enough.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
right. This is gonna have an OP by like Youngblood or something. God.
Yeah, and ED is by a band called One Republic.
Oh my god. That is so weird. That's such a normie ass band.
Okay, so is what we're finding out is that all these anime OPs and EDs we love, does Japanese people see these OPs like, oh yeah, Asian Kung Fu Generation, huh? Basic.
Them again, yeah.
I mean, I kind of think yes. Like,
yeah, it might, maybe, yeah.
I mean, I follow some bloggers who talk about Japanese music, and like they mention a bunch of those like bump off chicken J's bands, and they're always like mocked for being like basically the Japanese equivalent of like your Imagine Dragons.
Oh man.
This is like shit that people who go to like the big Coachella equivalent in Japan go to listen to. Like,
I hate to say it, but if I'm putting my music snob hat on, I kind of agree with that. But let's we can't get too far off onto that.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
I mean,
Kaiju number
perhaps it is fitting there is normie music for a normie anime. I don't know. But,
yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like Kaiju number 8 is like, it's not bad. It's just it's become the speed at which it became very generic was almost like that's kind of the most unique thing about it, is how fast it happened. Like, I would say Kaiju number 8 has like maybe a couple of good volumes in it before it devolves. Like if you compare it to like a My Hero Academia, which stayed good for like
100
a
chapters.
what?
Ish. Yeah, for like about like 100.
Yeah, like a
100+.
relatively decent span of time. Kaiju number 8 is almost like the exact opposite of like it decided to speed run towards like being as generic as possible as quickly as possible.
So I guess my question then is, if this is a hypothetical one core show, like, will it cover the good bits and end before the bad bits?
Oh no, the good bits will be done by like episode 8.
Oof.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's
maybe it'll look good at least. I mean, if action's cool, then
it's production IG. I mean, there probably will be some cool body horror to it. I mean, like that was kind of the fun thing about it early on, is it kind of had that like almost Guyver-esque like, I have become this horrible monster. Like I am generating like horrible bone blades out of my body and stuff like that. But
yeah,
you'll get to enjoy that. For like
I have become Wolverine. Yeah. Oh no! Whoa, terrible.
I mean, okay, there's stuff like like a dude's rib cage opening and a cannon comes out of it or some shit. It's
all right.
Oh no! What a curse!
Fine, fair enough. That's also still pretty cool. Yeah, like, oh no, my elbow turned into a pile bunker. Yeah, what a tragedy.
Yeah. All right.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure many people will enjoy that. I don't know if it'll be us, but many people will enjoy that. Let's move on and talk about Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night. I'm not going to attempt to say the Japanese title, but I think that's the English title. This is so we've got Doga Kobo coming hot off the smash success of Oshi no Ko, a scathing criticism of the Japanese entertainment industry, and this follow-up show is
about how VTubing is the coolest thing ever, and also the future.
Well, I think it's a several different content creation avenues.
It's essentially like Shirobako, but instead of them all entering a different aspect of the anime industry, it's them all doing like some sort of fat new content creation thing that has popped up in the last like 2 years.
Yeah, it's they form one of those like, I guess, multimedia art group type things.
Definitely not an idol group.
Definitely, yes. definitely not an idol group. Wink, wink.
Wrestling stable.
So, Joe, this is an original, correct?
Yes. Yeah, this is Doga Kobo's big
yes.
anniversary.
Okay.
Project.
I'm reading that the writer of this show is the original creator and writer of bottom tier character Tomozaki.
Okay.
That is
that something you liked or not? I don't remember if that was on the Gel Watches, an anime comedy parentheses.
That was
No,
not.
Absolutely not, because there's a second season of that airing as we speak, and Gel is not watching it. So
that I never got into that. No, so that does nothing.
I mean,
for me
this is
that
is just. It's not a really comedy. It's like one of those like generic high school rom-coms where Tomozaki-kun is at the lowest of the cast in the school.
Right. I just wanted to get a grasp on like if that affects
that is not that is not in my pile of trash.
Okay.
But yeah. So I mean, it looks nice, I guess, but
Doga Kobo.
I just find it interesting that this is what we're coming off of Oshi no Ko with here, but perhaps this is a more like modern relevant take on how to be a content creator or in the entertainment industry in 2024 versus
maybe.
Like I I don't know. Like, are idols finally on the way out? Are we on to VTubers and things now?
VTubers,
Like,
which are just
it's the
run
same
like
thing.
idols. Yeah,
it's the same.
It's
thing.
absolutely
Like-
the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just for the digital age, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody has any surface level knowledge of like VTubers and what's been going on with that recently, it's all the same.
I mean, VTuber scandals are almost identical to idol scandals.
Yes, you can copy and paste.
I'm sorry, I have to go into Blender and shave my model's head.
Oh, I shouldn't be laughing because it's horrible.
Also, this is directed by the director of Oro Manga Sensei.
Okay, Arrow Manga Sensei was terrible, but the directing was not the problem. I'll say that much.
This is for the 50th anniversary of Dogakobo. Holy shit!
Yeah, it is a little. Yeah, I would also like to point out one of the other things I wanted to mention because I keep waiting for Dogakobo to put out a good show again, and it has occurred to me that not this season, but next season will be the 10th anniversary of Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun, which might be the last
good Dogakobo show.
Dogakobo show that doesn't have any.
Looking here.
That doesn't have any like asterisks on it or something.
That is.
You know, I'm perhaps that makes me even more disappointed that I did not end up liking Oshinoko because like that actually was they actually tried to do something ambitious. It felt like with that.
Yeah, you know, I've looked at their catalog here, and yeah, I think Nozaki is their last good anime.
Yeah, and it's just like they have so much like talent, and it's like been going to waste for a decade now. But anyway, I'll probably watch the first episode of this. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, this is something that could go either way. Like, this could be like a vaguely interesting. Like, the thing is with like these shows of like, oh, you have a bunch of ambitious girls who try to make it in the X industry. Like, and those things can always go either way. Like, they can be like insufferable, boring slice of life bath, or they can be like genuinely like. At least somewhat earnest reflections on like coming of age.
Yeah, they could be K-On! Or they could be Bocchi the Rock. Like
right.
I mean, both of those shows.
Yeah, I mean those are two good. Those are two
joking,
examples of how that can turn out to be good.
Right.
Like it's more like
different.
This can become. This could be like a. This could be like a. I don't know. The kind of thing is like you can never tell. Anime is such a.
Especially with originals. So,
yeah,
I miss Bocchi. I gotta be honest.
What are we even doing here, man? All we can do is look at key art and some like credentials from the people who make these shows, and be like, "Oh, this looks fine, I guess." I don't know.
Yeah, let's move on.
That's how it is.
Yeah, we're doing the best. We're doing this a long time. That's the best we can do with it. So let's move on. Let's talk about another one I put on here, Tonari no Yokai-san. This actually does look like something I would normally be interested in.
Right.
It is a like slice of life show about a small town where there's yokai just kind of living with people.
Just a quartet.
There's a Tengu in t-shirt and jeans. There's a Nekomata drinking beer. You know, it looks very chill and yeah, I don't really have too much to say about it. I'm just pointing out shows that looked interesting to me, and
this
slice
is
of life
that like could be a gel show. Like,
yeah, it does look more like less like goofy anime comedy and more like sort of heartfelt, sincere type of slice of life. Yeah. Yeah, okay,
that's one of the tags on.
Any chart does have it tagged as Yashike. So, so with Slice of Life, not too much to talk about it. I'm just highlighting another one to check out there that I'll be checking out, but the trailer looks pretty good. We'll see.
Yep.
Okay. Sentai Daishikaku.
Okay, so we're gonna call the show Go Go Loser Ranger. That's the way it's That's the way the manga's localized.
Oh, okay. I didn't see the localization. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so this is a manga by the original author of the Quintessential Quintuplets, I think, like one of those harmless harem revival shows. But this is something completely different, and this is actually something that could be good. Like, I've read some chapters of the manga; it could be interesting. So the show is called Go Go Loser Ranger, so you can probably already tell that there's going to be some send-up of tokusatsu involved. The idea is basically like this guy watched The Boys and it's like, what if that, but with Super Sentai? So the idea is
that a good thing?
The idea is that like the Super Sentai, the classic Power Ranger teams with the color-coded Rangers, they, every week, every day, every Sunday of the week, the invaders sent in a monster with a bunch of foot soldiers, and the Sentai comes in and they beat them up, and they are supported by the smiles of children, and everyone loves them. But like in the first episode, it is revealed that this is actually just an elaborate ruse, right? The Sentai are like a bunch of like holier than thou, like ranging from sanctimoniously necessarily jerkish to like narcissistic assholes who actually defeated the invaders years ago, but
they're just keeping everything in stasis to maintain power.
Sure.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then like make money off of selling merchandise, celebrating and commemorating their heroics and stuff like that. So they've sort of like set up a kind of like, how do I say this without saying Hitler Jugend? A sort of like youth movement of like the Sentai crew, or like young people can join up with the Sentai and do good deeds and help fight the invaders, and through that way like exert their control over their society. So our main character is a generic mook, like a random foot soldier, a member of the Putty Patrol who finds out about all this, and together with two like defectors from the Sentai squad who like also may have ulterior motives for joining up with him, tries to tear down this system from within. That is sort of the idea.
Okay.
So
sure.
It seems interesting. It is one of those things that does have like show a risk of falling into the same shonen battle pitfalls. As in, our main character is a weak sauce, foot soldier who cannot possibly defeat these almighty heroes, so he's going to have to use his luck and pluck and wits and a gazillion number of power-ups he gains along the way. He has to like fight the various like squads, because every ranger has their own like squad of cronies, and their cronies have also their own squads of cronies. So he has to like fight his way up to the Blue Ranger or something like that, right? But the thing is, like, it sort of like plays with, if you're into Super Sentai, it plays with the sort of cliches, right? That, like, the Red Ranger is your hothead, the Blue Ranger is the calm and calculated science dude, the Pink Ranger is the responsible lady. Like, it plays on that in a, like, I compare it to The Boys because it's sort of like a deconstruction, TV trope style deconstruction of the traditional superhero narrative, but also a like sort of like parody of the capitalist exploitation thereof, but in like a sanded down family friendly way. Like, like in The Boys, the superheroes are like actual fascist dictators and sex criminals, whereas here they're just like, oh, we're just kind of jerks who like attention and fame. Like,
yeah.
But It seems
There's
interesting. I don't know.
something there. Yeah, there's something going on there.
I'm looking this up, and I'll note two semi-interesting things with the staff behind this. This is being done by Yostar Pictures, the Arknights people.
Huh. Okay.
I think Yostar Pictures has done, like, they have kind of expanded to becoming a bespoke, like, anime studio. Like, they're
so
not.
Are they linked to the producer of the Arknights game?
Yeah,
well,
Yostar is.
Yeah,
Yostar is the maker of the game, but I think Yostar Pictures is like.
This is
Side
like
Games Pictures.
Yeah, it's like a Side Games Pictures.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect analogy. That's what I was trying to think of. Because they're also
correct me if I'm wrong, but Arknights is a Chinese game, right?
Yes.
So is this a China-based studio or a Japan-based studio?
I am actually not sure on the particulars of Yostar Pictures. My understanding is that right, because like if you go to the credits of, for example, the Arknights anime, it is a lot of Japanese talent,
I mean, also the Japanese animation industry and the Chinese animation industry are so thoroughly intertwined that
the second thing is that because Yostar Pictures hired him on a few years ago to be one of their main guy. Keiichi Sato, director of Tiger and Bunny, is directing this show also.
Right. I mean,
is that
sure he does superhero stuff, right?
I sure like
director of the first season of Tiger and Bunny, to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, the first season of Tiger and Bunny. Yeah,
sure.
That's awesome.
Look, you can say all that. But if the first episode is going to be here's our main character, the henchman, and he says "ee," and then he gets kicked by the Red Ranger, and there's a single frame of nothing happening, and then he explodes. Anime of the year.
Also the director of Shingeki of Rage of Bahamut.
So, and he did a lot of work on Big O also as well.
Yeah.
So he has experience directing a superhero send up, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So there's maybe something there. Yeah. I in retrospect, I probably should have lumped these slice of life shows together.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. I mean, we're just scattershot.
The next one, Grandpa and Grandma turn young again. The premise is
understood from the title. Got it.
The premise is yes, Grandpa and Grandma have a farm and they eat some magic apple that turns them young again.
Wait, this is not isekai?
No,
they're just some old people who live in the Inaka.
Right.
Yeah,
they become young again.
Yeah, conceptually, it's kind of adjacent to that. But yeah,
honey, have you seen this? It is called the smartphone. This is what the kids are into nowadays, huh?
So yes, the joke is that they are now young, but they're still old people inside, right?
Right.
They're young and hot.
I think. Yeah, I've read a couple chapters of this just out of curiosity, and it does. I will say there's something. Again, I only read a couple chapters because I was I don't know if you could do this for 12 episodes, but
the story of anime's life.
Yeah, but there is something to this idea of these small time country folk who have kind of the kids have moved out, the kids have had kids, right? Just kind of living out the rest of their days, and then suddenly getting this new lease on life, right? All their memories are intact, they are the same people, but they are in their 20s again, and sort of this angle of not even the remorseful if I could just do it again, or if only I could fix that one thing, but more what do we do with
what do we do with this? Yeah.
I guess it's oh man, my back doesn't hurt anymore. I can go hiking again. I don't know. I could play sports for the first time in 40 years. It's almost the more new lease on.
Yeah, hell, I'm only 40, and I'm fantasizing about being 20 again.
Yeah, totally. Well, again, it's the specific not necessarily going back in time, but more the if I just could if I was back in my prime, but with all the knowledge I have now, right? What would I do tomorrow, right? If I turned 20 tomorrow, what would I do with? What would I do?
Same life experience and knowledge, and
and there's some novelty to it, and you know, and some of the fun is the like intentional juxtaposition of like, you know, they're still, you know, old-timey country folk surrounded by old-timey country folk neighbors, right? And the like, you know, grandpa still like that does this, you know, grandpa still does the exact same thing he does at 6:30 every morning, even though he's now like a hot young man, you know.
Right.
Like grandma is still like shuffling over to the neighbors association with tea, but now it's a young lady, and so,
it is pretty funny. It is pretty funny that even though they're young, they still have white hair.
Yeah, there's that.
Right.
Yeah, so there's some novelty to it. I just don't know if it's like, you know,
enough to carry an entire series.
This feels like one of those kinds of shows where it's like we have a gag, and maybe this should have been we have a gag that would be fitting for a short, but
yeah,
we're gonna have to do entire 24-minute episodes of this gag. right.
And so that's kind of where I'm like, I don't know, man, like, you know, it's like you could kind of see the PV, there's the whole like, oh man, grandpa's now the ace of the senior like football team,
right? Yeah.
And it's like, so it's like, yeah, it's like, I don't know, it might be good for, I mean, I could be not, I might not be giving enough credit, I don't know, I just it is definitely gave me the vibe of like there's something here. I just don't know how much there is.
Okay, so this is one of those manga with like 5-page chapters, right? Is what
I think so. Yes.
So,
because it is a web manga. Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. All right.
Sure.
We'll give it a look. Okay. Let's talk about Blue Archive. It's getting an anime, and I know. As I stopped playing Blue Archive a long time ago, but as the one who is still playing Blue Archive, you have some things to say about this.
Sure, yeah.
Before we unshackle G, what is Blue Archive?
Oh, happy to explain.
You know, I know
because I see it everywhere, but is it a boat become girl? Is it a gun become girl? Is it
it's
girl with gun?
It's girls with guns, but I don't know if they've ever explained why.
They're like angels.
I don't know. I know two things about Blue. I know 2 things about Blue Archive. 1, it's a mole gacha game. 2, there's 2 bunny girls.
Only 2?
I don't know, 2 that I know of.
Yeah.
Technically, there are 5, but
there's a lot of bunny girls. Yeah.
Anyways, so
there are only 2 that you probably see most commonly because they're parts of the internet.
Yes.
Yeah, but.
So, Blue Archive is a Korean mobile gacha game. This is sort of this season's obligatory, potentially mired gacha anime adaptation.
This is one of like the biggest ones, I think. Like Blue Archive's got to be like top 5 at this point, right?
Yes, it is very much. It is very much punching in the same weight class as all the other like household gacha names you were thinking of. So Blue Archive's basic premise is like takes place in this sort of like idyllic, very like early 2000s slice of life informed anime world in which like the world is divided into different schools, and each school sort of like is essentially its own independent nation state. And you know, it's like, this is the school for the, like, prim and proper angelic girls. This is the one for the authoritarian demon women.
It's a little, I'm sure this is not at all an apt comparison, but that made me think of Kill la Kill for a moment.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, I will say, like, there's actually a somewhat notable, like, PowerPoint slide I think they did at a fan event where they kind of, like, broke down the independent, like, things that like inspired Blue Archive, and it's very much like, you know, like Index and Railgun and like,
oh boy,
that specific era.
I would like to point out, I don't think anything we can do to explain Blue Archive is going to make it sound good.
No, most certainly not. But
it's hard to explain the vibes.
Yeah,
so, but like the actual like on paper description is
it's pretty bad. But yeah, so basically it's like, yes, it's kind of the story of these different schools and the students who attend them, and like kind of the various adventures and hijinks they get into, you know. The thing that I would say to like kind of get away from like just try to describe it as like a property is that like the thing that is like weirdly charming about Blue Archive is that while I would not really necessarily say the stories are like very well written, it has like surprisingly like likable character dialogue. Like the characters are like, despite the fact that many of them are just following the like most rote color by numbers, this makes a waifu. It's like it is the actual way they are written to speak that makes them more charming than you'd expect. Blue Archive is very much a property that leans into the angle of it is funnier when the waifus are dysfunctional weirdos.
Yes.
You know, there is a storyline about one of the schools has a game development club, except they don't actually make games. They just hang out and play video games all day until finally, like, the school is like, if you don't make a video game by, like, next month, we're disbanding your club. And they're like, shit, we gotta...
If only Counselor Yagami were here.
Yeah, it's like, shit, we gotta make a video game. Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's like, well, we could, like, I don't know, read books on how to make video games, or we could go to the abandoned part of town where a mythical AI chip is rumored to be held that will be smart enough to make a video game for us.
Of course.
Let's do that instead. And then they get into anime hijinks. The first school that the story interacts with is like the Amaishi comically poor school. Like their school is on the verge of being shut down, and so to the point where like there's only 5 students still attending it, and like you play as like sensei. You are the player's insert character is basically like this world's only adult teacher apparently.
And all of these pretty high school girls are fawning all over you.
Yeah, basically. Look, I ain't gonna front. That's what this game is. But and so your first task is to help these girls like save their school from debt slavery, and you're like, all right, well, what things have you guys come up with so far? And the girls' plans are either A, kidnapping students from other schools to boost their numbers, B, investing in crypto, and C, robbing a bank. And guess what? They decide to rob a bank.
And we didn't even try the lemonade stand.
And it's the thing of like, here's the thing. I played this game because specifically there were a couple of characters from the evil Tactical faction who finally got added to the game, who were these mean-looking bad bitches dressed up in tactical gear with like 13 scopes on their guns. And I was like, damn, well,
they came in from Arknights. Yeah.
Yeah, they were literally the Arknights transplants, and I was like, well, if you're here, I guess I have to get this game now. But so I was like thinking, okay, I'm just gonna like skip through all this fucking like Ugu kawaii shit, right? But I was like surprisingly charmed by the characters, even in like the game development club story. I took one look at it, I was like, this should be complete dog shit. This should be like the worst thing I'm gonna read in my life. And then these stupid girls are talking about how like, no, you see, the game is more good when the game doesn't explain how the boss mechanics work, because then you have to like fight the boss 100 times, and then you can brag about it on social media about how you're just a higher class of gamer. And I was like, shit, all right, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah. No, I mean, I played enough of it in the early days to kind of understand what you're getting at, G, and it's hard to explain what you're saying, but it is very charming. It's just when you look at it, like the art style and everything, it does look very, I don't know.
Okay, so question after this, at this point in the conversation, which is, would not an wouldn't a hypothetical anime adaptation be covering the main story of this game from the beginning?
Yes.
And so, is that the part that's still good?
Is there a main story? I'm thinking about it.
I would say,
how would that even work?
To a certain extent, yes, because the two plot lines I just described, the comically poor students and the game development club, are actually basically the first two arcs of the game.
Okay.
Like mainline arcs, I would say. And so
but they also have guns and are fighting things.
Yes, because turns out the reason they're in debt slavery is because of robot mercenaries who stole the deed to their land, like a fucking Scooby-Doo plot.
Right. So, like, the way you're making this sound is that this anime should be like a fucking Sagabigu style comedy or something like.
I think ideally that is like the way that it would be portrayed, and that is where I now get into why I like have trepidations about the anime adaptation.
Okay.
I think a lot of the things that are funny and charming about Blue Archive are very much like in how you decide to read the text and like how like they portray these characters in these like very like self-evidently goofy situations. And I don't know if like you can necessarily capture all of that in like what appears to be like a pretty like just straightforward adaptation of these plot lines. I mean, I think it's like you can't excise the comedy entirely, but it's like I do wonder if they are going to like kind of approach this from the more like self-serious, we are gonna show you the storyline of Blue Archive, right?
Right.
Because there are like, you know, like every gacha game, there are serious arcs, right? It does the classic gacha game thing of like 4 goofy, entirely unrelated arcs, and then one serious plotline arc that is the culmination of them. And Blue Archive, the anime, being something that is being written in hindsight, right, with those arcs already existing in the game, I wonder if they're going to try to approach it from that angle of like, we're telling a story here. And it's like, please don't. I kind of just want to watch the hijinks, honestly.
Right.
So that is the thing. I am not sure that like the charm, like the surprising charm of this game's writing will translate well to anime. Additionally, the thing I'm going to be really curious about is I think Blue Art. This is something where it's like this is a weird hang-up I have that I don't know if the rest of the Blue Archive fan base shares. Probably not, because it's a terrible fan base. But I am like always charmed by these characters when I am reading their written dialogue, and then the moment there is a voiced scene, my brain like instantly ejects. I think Blue Archive might have the worst voice direction of any gacha game I've ever played in my life.
Damn.
There are these optional intimate scenes with a character when you max out their affection.
Oh boy.
Where they like talk to you and the lines are voiced and they're always like it's a live 2D illustration.
Oh,
you know,
no.
like,
you get the very horny 2D live 2D illustration.
Like Sensei, come look at the back of my thigh. It's okay. You can lie on the ground while you do it.
Well, okay.
And they're always doing this really high-pitched ASMR breathy voice that I'm not even going to try to emulate. And it's like really grating. And the thing is, it's not the fault of the VAs, because Blue Archive has hired some like really, really talented VAs before. You know, fucking, you know, we got Ryuko from Kill la Kill in this fucking game. You know, like. Yeah. They have some very talented VAs, but they're always doing the like most ugu kawaii like waifu voice imaginable, and it's like it's so grating. Like I actually like it almost feels like the scenes are written differently. Like the hornier the game gets, the worse the writing gets.
Yeah.
So I am kind of not looking forward to like if they are voice directed like that in the anime, that's going to be really grating to listen to for like long periods of time. I specifically have avoided like clicking on multiple of those scenes in my own game because I'm like, man, I don't want to sit here for 3 minutes listening to this girl like squeal at me. It's like really, really grating.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could watch 24 minutes of this.
Yeah. I don't feel like the things that I liked about Blue Archive are going to translate well to anime because the anime is going to be, the acting and the visuals and things, and those are things that are not strong points for me in Blue Archive. I think we both agree, G, we're not in love with most of the character designs. They're very like ultra cute sort of, and often very young looking characters.
I mean, this could get into like my issues with like the fan base as a whole, but it's like,
yeah,
I like many of the Blue Archive characters in spite of their designs. Like that is
yeah. And some are worse than others, but and those are the things that are going to be easier to emphasize in the anime, right? And I don't know.
Totally.
So, I'm gonna go on a limb and say it might be better than the Arknights anime.
I think it might be able to do that just because, like, it won't be as action heavy as the Arknights anime. The Arknights anime kind of necessitated like a certain degree of high pace action.
That's very anime. Very different tone of this,
right? And I think there's also things. It's like Arknights is very self-serious and like requires you to be already invested in like the world building from step one. Whereas I think like Blue Archive, it would actually be like way more accessible to even people who don't play gacha games because it's like even the game does not really explain why these girls have guns. Like never, It doesn't come up once. Never. Like
why
it's just accepted.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, oh no, every girl is just born with a halo and a pistol.
Uh-huh.
Simple.
Right out of the womb.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll get to my favorite. I think it was an event was when you had the little girl with the mustache that was like a Stalin-esque Soviet dictator.
Oh, the fucking commies, yeah.
Yeah. And you had to fight them. That was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm not getting my hopes up. But
no, certainly not.
Watch the first
Anyways,
episode. Yeah.
The other reason I'm like worried for this anime is I feel like it's just going to like bring out what is actually probably the worst thing about Blue Archive to further prominence, which is that I think Blue Archive just straight up has the worst fan base of all gacha games. Like, I would go as far as say the Blue Archive fan base is the melty blood of gacha games.
Have you spent much time with the Genshin Impact fan base?
You know what? I actually don't anymore. So you might
especially
have a point
now.
there. There's a reason why this is like maybe the first time ever on the internet I have talked about Blue Archive at any length. I do not want to be associated with the Blue Archive fan base. Like they are
You're gonna put your bag on your head here.
They are annoyingly annoyingly horny and racist to a degree that like surpasses even other gacha fan bases. And not only that, no, even worse than the racism is probably that I think the Blue Archive fan base has terrible taste in waifus. Like absolute dog shit. Like if you spend any time with the Blue Archive fan base, you'll find out that the Blue Archive fan base doesn't like short-haired girls. Doesn't like girls, doesn't like tomboys. And more egregiously, doesn't like it when girls wear suits.
Isn't what's her name? Shiroko? Is that the gray hair one? Isn't she popular? She has short hair, doesn't she?
It's like
or not short enough?
I guess.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Like,
I know too much.
Yes. Like, remember when I was just talking about those Arknights girls? Like the ones that are like evil tactical women?
Everybody hates them.
Yeah, because they don't look kawaii enough. You know?
Yeah. Well,
and it's just like I am just like
I hate to say it, G, but I think that's what you signed up for on this one. It's like those are the exception to the rule, right? Like the rest of the game, that's kind of what you got.
I just think the Blue Archive fan base should have better taste. They like Like the girls that they consistently like, that are their favorites. It's like you got like evil woman with a gun over here, and you are like going gaga over the girl who explicitly looks like she's fucking 8 years old, man. Like,
well, that's a tale as old as time.
I know it is. It's just it's even worse in Blue Archive. I swear to God, I see some of the worst fucking takes from this fan base, man. It is just maddening.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I don't know. That just sounds like those guys on Twitter who are being like, "Man, Stellar Blade is going to save video games from
these are those
woke
exact
mob."
same people. I mean,
Like,
these are those exact same
it's the
people.
same people.
Like,
These are the
Blue
people who like 10 years ago were like, feminism doesn't exist in Japan, and they've now moved on to Korea being like their utopia of conservative values.
No. The Blue Archive fan base loves to parrot like Korean incel anti-feminist rhetoric.
Right.
Like they love that shit. The Blue Archive fan base cheers every time a female artist is fired from a Korean company. They love that shit. They actively cheer for it. Like, I'm not joking when I say the Blue Archive fan base fucking sucks.
Yeah, they might be.
Like, not just because of their poor taste in waifus, but, like, actively repugnant people.
Yeah, you might be right.
I would sooner admit to playing Genshin Impact than Blue Archive in public.
Whoa.
No, you're right. You're right. Because with Genshin Impact, it's mostly just children that are upset that they didn't get more polls for their anniversary rewards. Like, that's fine, I guess, in comparison. So, what I'm really saying is just everyone should just play Honkai Star Rail. But anyway, let's move on.
Better yet, don't play any fucking gacha games.
Yes, I would never officially. I will never officially tell anybody to play a gacha game.
No, of course.
Honkai Star Rail.
Yes.
All right, let's move on.
Gacha games are inherently unethical.
Let's move on to Tadaima Okaeri. I put this on here because
Yaoi that anime.
We did it.
Final. We did it. We did it.
We have gay dads.
What are you talking about? What about buddy daddies?
Nope.
Original anime of the year 2023, Buddy Daddies.
Buddy Daddies was they very explicitly dropped the no homo at the end of Buddy Daddies. like they looked into the camera and said, I only like to have sex with women, and then they roll the credits. This is yes. So this is actually we did it. We got gay dads. And I don't really have much more to say about it. It looks pretty good.
No. How
fucking
contrived is the situation gonna be? Where like, oh, these two hot dudes are living together and raising a child together, but they're not gay.
No, I mean, the description it says they are married. Like,
oh, okay, yeah, sure,
yeah,
sure, hell yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, they're married and they have a son. Yes.
Like, okay, that's good. The thing I was gonna ask is, does the anime look good?
That doesn't matter, G.
No, it does. No, it does look pretty good because it's like it looks like they're actually. So what's interesting to me is, well, I also find it funny that this is tagged as boys' love when these are like grown men with a child. But
men's,
yeah, man. I don't want to. I'm not going to workshop that one. But no, it's interesting to me because it looks like it is focusing more on like the challenges of being a family than the like romantic aspect of it. Which,
right, it's like a family show.
If you are going to get a boys' love anime made somehow, which they have been popping up more frequently lately, it's usually like kind of the same romance angle to it. And this is kind of seems to be more focused on them, being dads.
I mean, this seems to be a part of like the tried and true anime tradition of, I want to make an anime about X, but just to be sure, I'm going to like sort of make sure that the Fujoshi/Yuri fans are watching.
You get your built-in fan base,
right?
So
it's free real estate.
Yeah, right. So Yeah, I mean, aside from I can't think of any anime off the top of my head in recent memory where there are dudes that are actually married. It actually does look kind of a nice kind of fun show. Like
Jell, we're watching Braver in this season. What are you talking about?
All right. When
marrying men, what's next? Men marrying robots?
When Asami gives Smith a ring or vice versa, we'll talk. I do find it funny that Bravern is the most gay show of the season when there's literally another show. I can't remember the name of it. That one where the guy was the guy that can read minds or something.
Cherry Magic. Cherry Magic. Yeah. 30 years of virginity will make you a wizard? Question mark?
Yet somehow Bravern is more gay than that. I mean, spoilers, but fellas, is it gay to come back as a robot to save your? Yeah.
The old theory proven right, huh?
Yeah, we'll talk about Braver next time. But
he has a surprisingly good track record on predicting the robot was actually this person all along. Twist.
Hey, I was going to say that for the next podcast, but I'll take that dub.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that next time. But yeah, so yeah, I mean,
that and Gundam. You're right.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yep. So this is notable. I thought this was notable not only for the content, but also I think it looks like it could be a pretty fun show.
Okay.
So
I mean, it is cool that it is explicit. Then I guess, right? Like, there's no innuendo. There's no we're partners or whatever. It's just
as far as I can tell. I mean, that's what the description said. We'll see if there's any other dancing around it. I mean, I think the one guy.
There are definitely lots of boys love manga where just like do not make any issue off of it.
Right.
It is set in BL land where men can just fall in love and get married without any societal trouble whatsoever. So it's definitely not uncommon. Like
I think this guy's like literally wearing a wedding ring. So yeah. All right, so we'll check that out, and we got one more show on our list. We'll talk about Train to the End of the World. I was on the fence on sticking this one here, but Aqua, you mentioned it. So what is this one about?
I was mostly interested in this because this is a Seiji Mitsushima joint, and that guy, whatever he does, it's always at least interesting. Tsutomu Mitsushima. He is the director of Shirobako, of Girls und Panzer, of Mayoiga, the weird, we put a bunch of people on a bus and we go to a ghost town manga that has its fans. This is director of another guy has
Kotobuki.
Sort of shady. I mean, not shady. It's a mixed record, but it's always at least weird and interesting. And to see him doing a show that looks like a relatively generic "4 cute girls do thing" show has me interested.
Really. There is something weird going on in this show.
Yeah, this seems to be like a sort of a supernatural take on A Place Further Than the Universe, as in 4 girls from different walks of life come together to travel, but instead of going to the South Pole, they're going to an abandoned train that takes them to a mysterious place. I don't know, takes them to the end of the world, I guess. It's
going to be like a girl's last tour type of thing.
I mean, because I was going to say, the idea, right? I mean, what I'm reading here is these girls, for whatever reason, all have their own reasons for boarding this train that's setting off to Okay, so here's the thing, right? First of all, it's a train going to a place they don't know, which is fundamentally that means we are operating on the supernatural here, because in real life we all know where trains go. It kind of comes part and parcel with how trains are made. So
hey, if there's anything Japan loves, it's stories about metaphorical trains taking you to mysterious places.
Galaxy Express 39. Yeah.
Is it just going to be that they're dead at the end?
Right. I was literally going to say, is it just a train to the afterlife? Are they in limbo? Are we just doing that?
We're just doing angel beats. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I I mean, they are trying to do something here, though, right? Like, that's the point.
Yeah.
Like, there's something going on here, and until we actually see it, we're not going to know. But
this is written by Michiko Yokote, who is a writer with a lot of pedigree in like comedy and slice of life.
Yeah,
Lots of ups and
she's
downs
just
as well,
done little stuff for everything all over the place.
Right,
of
she's
work,
done
yeah.
Sekko Boys, the Gashikashi, Takagi-san, Yuri, like
shout out to
Cowboy
Knight.
Cowboy Bebop,
right, Tari, Squid Girl. Yeah, just
she's
like
one of those airplane girl shows that you guys watched.
yes.
Yep.
Digimon Savers.
Completely forgot about that one.
I don't know. This is one of those shows. This could be a big fat fart of nothing, or this could be like surprise. Like Mizushima's shows have varied from like genuinely good and heartfelt to like camp, like trash fire camp. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be happy with either of those things.
Yeah.
I guess it's interesting that it's an unknown quantity, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's always a thing with anime originals, despite the fact that we've been burnt by, like, basically every anime original we've watched in the last 3 years. We come back because it's like, there's always a chance.
Yeah. I feel like that might be
this
the
will
theme.
be the next Vivi, guys, I swear.
Oh, man.
I that might be the theme of this season preview, because as I'm going back through the list, there's not a single show on here that I think is a surefire. Yep, I think this is definitely going to be good.
There's a couple of shows on here that are going to be surefire hits, just not with us. Like,
well, that's what I mean. That we're like, I'm sure, like, Kaiju No. 8 or something is going to be popular. But as far as shows that are going to land with us, like a lot of these shows, they have potential, but I don't know, man.
I hope everybody is ready for a return of the Tomino Power Hour.
You mean
Hiro and I close in on...
finished. We're basically done. We're almost done.
We have 2 whole episodes of Heavy Metal Elgaim left to watch.
We sure do.
Yeah.
That Power Hour is not finished.
We'll
it's in
see.
its last minutes.
Yeah, I think there's enough shows here with potential, like, that something will be good just on sheer odds, and that's just how it always goes. So
right,
I feel like one of these shows will, or maybe one we didn't talk about, will surprise us, as it always does. So
who knows? Maybe Kai no to Otome to Kamikakushi will be the anime of the year. About a busty bookstore clerk who wants to become a novelist after some writing success in her youth. But when strange occurrences start cropping up around the city, she teams up with her flirtatious co-worker Adashino Ren to look into them. Who knows?
Wait, are you joking, or wait, is that actually getting an anime?
That's just a random thing I picked off of anime of AniList.
Oh no, that's actually that's this season. Wow. Okay. I'm not gonna pretend like this one's good. Just
you are familiar with the source.
I see the main character is voiced by Fairuz I, which is already telling me why G might like this.
the bookstore clerk is a very pretty lady who's also kind of problematic.
Tell me more.
No, I'm not going to pretend this one's a good one. I'm just I kind of vaguely heard that this one was getting an anime adaptation. I did not know that was literally next season. No, I can kind of assure you that one is not going to be the secret surprise hit of the season, but it might it'll probably get some people's attention.
I didn't realize a regular at Magic High School was coming back. Jesus Christ!
Oh boy!
Man. I mean, shit, man, you want to talk about Yuru Camp Season 3?
Why do we do this to ourselves?
Yuru Camp is all right.
Yuru Camp's fine. It's fine. All right. I think we need to stop that now before we start looking at the garbagey isekai shows that we.
Okay, I do have one more thing. I'm sorry that I was actually kind of interested in.
Okay.
Now that I'm scrolling down on this chart, on the movie front, Crunchyroll is going to be streaming 2 movies, Kurameru Kagari and Kura Yukawa, which my understanding is some notable director kickstarted a movie, an original movie, and then
Under the Dog.
Yeah, and as a stretch goal, Ryogo Narita wrote a short story in that universe, and then that also became a movie. And so I'm kind of interested in those.
Sure.
They're in a sort of
I've been kind of confused about the specific circumstances of how these got made and how they're connected. So.
Right. But it seems to, take place in some sort of industrial revolution type world about
a shared universe between these 2 movies.
Yeah, they take place in the same universe, and I guess it's about a detective or something trying to investigate something that's going on.
Is there a risk why they're airing as a duo? Like, is it like 1 and 2 or like?
I think they're just related, right? Like,
okay. Like, I guess, like, is there a watching order here?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I've not heard too much about this. It just suddenly went, oh god, right, those.
I've never heard anything about this that I remember.
I get it though. Like, I mean, I'm looking at it like it's kind of an interesting setting, as you say, like a sort of industrial.
Yeah, that's always a cool kind of setting.
Like old Japan kind of vibe.
Very, very early 1900s or sort of early 20th century, sort of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that will do it then for our season preview. As always, this is not a comprehensive list. This is just the ones that caught our attention. So there are plenty of other shows out there. If we missed anything, let us know. But we will be hot into actual first looks in about 2 weeks or so here. So, yep. All right. So housekeeping, you can check us out at theglorioblog.com. I think I'm going to officially say to stop following us on Twitter because I'm not posting there
fuck
anymore.
That place.
But you can, like I said, go to check out theglorioblog.com. You can follow us on co-host at GLORIO, or you can check us all out individually on co-host as well at our names. It's at Gel, at Iro, at Gman with a hyphen in the middle.
With a hyphen, yes.
And at Aquagaze. And the usual podcast channels. You can get on us on iTunes and or Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and of course YouTube, where you can like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll catch everybody next time.